السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Welcome everyone to another live broadcast. This is your brother Giba Romani, and we are going live now. Alhamdulillah. This is a broadcast that is unscheduled, but we have some exciting news as we are, inshallah, going to have 2 new master classes. And these are on OCD as well as on female psychology. One is for everyone, men and women, and the other one is for men only. So I wanted to do a little live broadcast to discuss issues of OCD and female psychology. Any questions around those? And inshallah, please like and share. I'm going to share this on Instagram as well. And we're starting now. We are going to be taking your questions. As always, you can write your questions in the question, and you can always hit that super chat. I can see your questions faster. I'm going to try to stick to the topic. So the topic is OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. How is that related to waswasa, for example? Okay, how is that related to waswasa? And we're going to be talking about female psychology. That's because we are having a class on female psychology, inshallah, that is available bi'idhnillahi ta'ala next weekend. So let me share this on Instagram on story really quick that we are live. Okay, here we go. Bismillah. And please do, guys, subscribe and like. We are in a shadow ban on both Instagram and Facebook. On YouTube. So we're on a shadow ban on both Instagram and on YouTube. And the only way we can get out of it is to just work harder and put more material and have more engagement, inshallah. If you guys help, we can definitely get more engaging discussions. We're getting banned because we're talking about very important things, obviously, with what's happening with Palestine right now. I've been talking about it, did some reactions and some videos on Palestine, and that gets you banned, shadow ban. So this is the reality, but also continuously working on masculinity, the Muslim alpha man concept, dealing with mental health issues for men and women, and talking about gender roles, talking about going back to the fitra, going back to men are men, women are women. This is something that will get us banned. So we are definitely in a shadow ban. I just checked the Instagram. We've gone to the reach only 400,000 from 6 million reach. That was like last 2 weeks. And now we've gone to 400,000. You can see it on the dashboard how the ban affects you. And of course on YouTube, I think we've been shadow banned on YouTube for more than 6 months now. Alhamdulillah. So let us start. As I said again, there are the courses. There's a masterclass on OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. And there's a masterclass on female psychology. The OCD one is open for both men and women, and the female psychology is only for men. What you're going to learn in the OCD, you are going to learn what is OCD and why secular psychologists, psychiatrists, and even Muslims approach it only from a medical perspective, from a secular, non-religious, materialistic perspective. Okay, so this needs to be understood. Why do imams these days tell you, no brother, you need to go see a psychiatrist only? I cannot help you. This is not from shaitan. This is some imbalance in your brain. All right, we can discuss that. Why you think shaitan doesn't affect your chemical balances in your brain? I think we have not understood the issue properly. And the second thing is female psychology. How do we understand women? What is a woman? How do women get influenced by today's environment? Are women weaker than men? Why? Are they more susceptible to fitna than men? Why? How does this gauge against the Quran and the Sunnah, as opposed to people's opinions and philosophies of the modern day world, especially the feminist narrative that is circulated and has infected and infestated most people, including men? And I think, I'm also almost certain that while feminists are dangerous, Muslim feminists are even more dangerous, because you got Muslim part, so you can play the Muslim card, but you can also play the feminist card. And also, maybe even more dangerous than the Muslim feminist is the cuckold, the youth feminist Muslim man, right? The one who fights and who calls everyone a red pill or Andrew Tate worshipper or whatever. Anyone who wants to talk about gender roles based on Quran and Sunnah. This person doesn't understand Quran and Sunnah. He doesn't want nothing to do with Quran and Sunnah. His gods are most likely, Morgan Pierce and other, people online, certain du'at, certain da'iyas, female da'iyas, and certain so-called humanist, feminist, human rights activists. These are usually their imams. And while they claim to be followers of the deen, when it comes to actually putting that against the Quran and Sunnah, you'll find that that's not there. All right. So, it's a good one. That is a very, very good one. All right, so let's start with something funny. BB says testicular injuries for women have gone up in 2023. I agree with you, and they're going to go up even more in 2024, it seems. All right, so let us start with Walaikum salam wa barakatuh. Again, brothers and sisters, please do share, and let's work. So BB says OCD is genetic, right? I assume that there's a medical treatment for it. Okay, so obsessive compulsive disorder is not necessarily genetic, no. And you have to understand, when you're talking about scientific research, there's always more and more developments that will take place with time. So sometimes people take it as an absolute truth. Then 2-3 years later, there's a new research, and then that gets upgraded. So the absolute truth of the modern world, the modern materialistic world, always gets an upgrade. Okay, it's almost like a Windows system. Windows or Mac always gets a bug fix, an upgrade. So that is something that we find very clearly. So you cannot say that it is genetic. There are certain predispositions, no doubt, within the nature of a person. Okay. However, if you are to look at what is the most prominent effect that has on a person, it is indeed the nurture. Nature plays a role. So, for example, every human being is susceptible to kufr. I mean, that's how Allah created us. Now, someone says everyone was born on the fitrah. Yes, that was the natural disposition that Allah created, but not everyone stays on the fitrah. So the natural disposition is that you were created on, is that you are born acknowledging and knowing that there's a creator. You're born pure. But as you advance through nurture, through your system, as the Prophet ﷺ said in Hadith, then you become and you get conditioned by your parents, your environment. Indeed, the environment plays a greater role in the whole nurture-nature debate. Nature, yes, predispositions to many things. So, for example, every human being is predisposed to kufr. Then it wouldn't happen if we wouldn't, or to go on astray, or to committing sins. What does that mean? It means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created in us the ability, or allowed in us the ability to have this or that, to choose, to be able to be a Muslim, a kafir, whatever. If not, then no one would be a kafir. Everyone would be just on tawheed the way they were born. But by nature, Allah created everyone on tawheed, on fitrah. By nature, Allah also created everyone with certain predispositions. Now, it doesn't mean that those things will act out if a person goes through the correct environment. And that's why the Sharia protects usually the environment and does not allow for corruption, because the human soul can be corrupted. It is corruptible. Again, Allah created it like that. Why? لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. So Allah can test you which one of you has the best of deeds. Right? So we all have certain predispositions, some more than others. Women in certain aspects more than men. For example, women are more susceptible to corruption when it comes to fitna and sexual things. Believe it or not, I know people will say that it's men. It's not. It is women. And that's why women have to wear hijab. That's why women have to stay more in the house and not mix. That's why women have certain restrictions. Men are more susceptible and corruptible when it comes to violence and killing and the ability to be violent, right? Which has certain things that are good because men should defend, but also many things that are bad, because a lot of the wars and the killing and the oppression in the world is because of that predisposition of men to be violent and to be power hungry. If you look throughout the history, when you look at the Zalimin or the evil people such as Fir'aun or Abu Jahl, so it was men, right? What did they want? They want power. They want to claim godhood. A'udhu billah. Right? So men are more predisposed than that. You know, women, not really. I mean, you have like Cleopatra in the history of mankind and maybe a few others, but women were not necessarily in hungry for power, or that was not what they're predisposed to. It's not their fitna, really. But throughout, you know, the Caesar, the Napoleons, the Pharaohs, it's men, right? So everyone has different predisposition to different, but then the environment and what's around it what starts actually taking over and allowing for these weaknesses or these predispositions to now express themselves, to show themselves, almost like a gene that's there dormant. Unless the environment is conducive for it, it will not express itself. Let's say one thing we know is that certain people are more predisposed to cancer. But if the environment is correct and healthy, that gene is not going to express itself, right? While others are not. No matter what will happen, what kind of environment, they're not going to get cancer. Even if they smoke their whole life, which is not permissible. I'm just giving an example. Right? They just won't. And some are just super predisposed. And if they don't take care of their environment, they're just going to basically pretty much end up having cancer. So it's kind of like that, right? There's certain predispositions. So with OCD, I don't think so. I don't think there's any correct evidence to show that it's just genetic. No, I think it is more to do with the nurture of things, with the environment. I think it has a lot to do more with the environment. Same with ADHD. A lot of the mental health issues, we find them that they are, which are today, we find them that they're kind of a new phenomenon, and they are environmentally triggered. Yes, there's predispositions. Yes, the mind can be predisposed to certain weaknesses, but the environment is what leads a person to really express those weaknesses. When we look at history, yes, the concept of majnoon, but it was like so apparent when someone had mental health issues back in the day that it was like clear. Today, so many people suffer from mental health issues, yet you don't know. You don't know. I might be suffering from mental issues. You can't tell. You might be suffering. You can't tell. Your friend, your loved one next to you might be suffering, and you cannot tell. There are certain new techniques now when it comes to brain imaging. For example, SPECT, which Amin Clinics does. I read a really good research and book recently on that. And what they're saying is that you can actually scan now activity in the brain and compare. And there's not just one ADHD or ADD. There's so many different levels when you compare different brains and different behaviors. When you compare a person's a healthy brain versus a person who has OCD, for example, totally different activity in the brain. And when you look at psychiatry and mental health work, it's like the one field that a person, the doctor, usually doesn't have access to the part of the organ that is affected. If you go to a doctor, let's say for whatever reason, you have a cut, an infection, they're going to take blood tests, they're going to look at your scans and so on. They're going to look if you broke a bone, they're going to analyze this. But when it comes to the brain and mental health, it's always self-reporting. Good morning, sir. So what do you feel? Oh, I feel like I'm depressed. I don't know, I'm feeling sad. Okay, they look in the DHS manual and they look at the so-called diagnosis and what medicine, and they just give the medicine. But you might be given the wrong medicine. A person might just self-report and diagnose themselves, and the doctor doesn't really do any scans. The doctor doesn't really examine, is not able to examine the brain. Most psychiatrists will not do an actual inquiry into the problem and report tests or something. No, they're just going to base their diagnosis on self-reporting of the client, of the patient, and they'll match that against the DHS manual, and they'll look at what general SSRI or SNRI to give, and therefore just kind of to cover it, but they might not target the problem. So when it comes to OCD specifically, and I believe this is one of the most common mental health issues today, I believe that it needs to be really, really looked at deeper than that. Putting that on the side though, I do believe that there's a huge correlation between OCD and shaitan, waswasa. And I think this is where a lot of imams, because we're Muslims obviously, they are not trained to connect the two. Waswasa for them is waswasa, and I think somehow in the narrative someone snuck it in that these are two different things, and now many of the imams say, hands off, I don't need to deal with this person, whether it's jinn or shaitan or whatever, I don't need to deal with this person, so just better you go see a psychiatrist. Hands off, wash your hands, send them over. Right? A lot of times others will just do ruqya all the time and that's it. And you have this like extreme, right? Two extreme views. And I don't think they're right. And I'll tell you why. First of all, the Prophet ﷺ told us in authentic hadith that shaitan runs in the bloodstream of the son of Adam. Kamajri dam, like the blood flow. So, hello, blood is what carries all the nutrients. Blood is what carries the signals, the markers. Blood is what carries the hormones. Blood is what carries, it's a blood-brain barrier. It is so important to understand this hadith. Waswasa. What is waswasa? Waswasa, alladhi yuwaswisu fi sudurin nas. Why, when you have brain issues, mental health issues, the first thing that you feel actually will be anxiety in your chest. Why chest? Why don't you have a headache? In many cases, you'll have no headaches. You might have, but in many cases you don't. The anxiety is felt in the chest. All right, there's a deep correlation between the brain and the heart. A very deep correlation between the brain and the heart. So we cannot just dismiss, shaitan. No, shaitan is, this two-horned entity that's just, whatever, romanticized in movies and so on and so forth. No, we're living in a 21st century, civilized century. We need to look at medical. No, I believe the two are very related. Let me put it this way. OCD or intrusive thoughts are or is shaitan's weapon of choice in the 21st century. I think overthinking, getting into your mind, having waswasa, I think this is the weapon of choice for shaitan these days. So many people are suffering. I have so many clients that I take on a regular basis. Probably per week, I would say that 50% of my clients are struggling with issues related to mental health and OCD. About 50%, if not more. So it is a big problem, and I think people are not addressing properly. So let me make it very clear. To me, OCD and waswasa are very closely related. Whether it's the same or not, but definitely the shaitan has a play. And why wouldn't he not have a play? Because he's trying to misguide you. One pattern that you see with OCD is that it starts with something unrelated to salah or to iman. It could be just cleanliness. which was kind of like the default OCD. When you talked about OCD, it was people like having OCD, washing their hands all the time and using antibacterial soap all the time and so on, putting things back together in place and making sure everything is in its right place. That was OCD, what we used to hear about. But no, not today. I think it's so much more. So Shaitan basically uses OCD, uses intrusive thoughts. It starts maybe with cleanliness. It can go on to wudu, making the ablution. It can go on to tahara and istinja. People spending an hour to take shower. People spending an hour to make wudu, delaying the prayer. After that, it goes into prayer. Did I pray? Did I not pray? How many rakahs? And it goes then into iman. It has a progression. And it leads to people, am I Muslim? Did I say something that's kufr now? Did I laugh at this and made me a kafir? Did this thought make me a kafir? Do I have to take my shahada? Now I have to take ghusl again. And you get caught up in this obsessive circle, this loop. People spend hours trying to pray, and then they just give up prayer, then they just give up Islam. And they find that the waswasa disappears in many cases. So, to make it again clear, I believe that OCD is related to waswasa, very clear, very, very clear, related to waswasa, and that it is something that can be treated, alhamdulillah. And yes, indeed, we need to look at shaitan's influence, the waswasa, and how to use ruqya, as well as other approaches such as CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, which is indeed what? It's just realigning your thoughts and your thought process and reshaping certain ideas about this issue, which is very much in line with Islam. I mean, Islam came to realign people's aqidah, their thoughts about the world, about themselves. This is, in a way, shape, or form, kind of CBT. And then within CBT also dealing with ERP, or exposure response prevention, which is very important, right? Ignoring certain things. You find the Prophet ﷺ telling us about this. He said, when shaitan might whisper to you, who created this? You say, Allah. Who created that? Allah. Who created that? Allah. Who created Allah? And then you desist. You stop. You don't try to figure it out now. Oh, who created Allah? Wow. Let me look into this and that. And you're going to just overthink everything. And people do that. And they get stuck. No, at some point you just say, that's it. رَضِيتُ بِاللَّهِ رَبَّ وَبِالْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا وَبِمُحَمَّدٍ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ نَبِيًّا رَسُولًا. I believe in Allah and the Prophet ﷺ and Islam, and that's it. I don't go beyond that. It's just, this is ERP. Like, you got exposed, a trigger, but you stop yourself from going into that compulsive behavior and searching and trying to find the answer to everything. Who created Allah? No, you just stop. Finish. So these are the opening statements. Let's go into the questions now. So OCD is not just genetic. There could be predisposition in certain cases. However, what we find is that the nurturing, the environment, causes more. So for example, big correlation in my clients, what I see between pornography, porn addiction, and OCD. I've asked all the people who basically have OCD, are you addicted to porn? I'm sorry it's such a direct question, but a lot of them have been looking at these things, at pornography, and I didn't have probably anyone who did not answer the affirmative. They said, yes, we are. After some time, I know it's shameful and this and that, but there was like an awakening moment. They're like, oh my God, I never made that connection. So there's a huge correlation between OCD and pornography, porn usage. It seems that people who have OCD or experience OCD are porn addicts. All right. So this is what I found, Allahu Alim, based on the research and what's available to me for many, many years. So there's definitely something there from the environment. That's environmental. That's nurturing. All right. And other stuff. All right. What can you do if you have a narcissistic father? Well, first of all, how do you know he's narcissistic? It's hard to assess that, if he is a narcissist or not. Just because he might have standards or a certain demeanor does not make him a narcissist, number one. It requires a lot of assessment, professional, for someone to diagnose someone as a narcissist, and I feel that that term is being used too loosely these days. How to find a righteous spouse in the situation for your sister when none her family are Muslims. Okay, talk to the imam of the local masjid, any sisters that you know. You can also contact us. We have 3 sisters who work in our system on marriage for sisters and brothers. Alhamdulillah, we had some good results. So you can try to do that on our website through our links. We have a marriage system, inshallah, and it's not easy for a new Muslimah or revert to get married, but inshallah we try to help bi'idhnillah ta'ala. During vetting, is it possible to know through questions, like if a sister has mental health conditions that she doesn't tell you, she might not know she behaves as classified as that condition? Hard to tell, because women are very good at hiding it. So your vetting has to be very, very strong. You have to have a very, very strong vetting and very, very strong knowledge. You can take my vetting masterclass. It's available in the links in this video and other videos, inshallah, that we have. And you can look into what questions, how to know whether a woman has mental health issues. It is important, and I think you can find out. You could, but you kind of have to test her. You got to be very strategic, and I do believe that in these day and age, it is important to do that. A lot of people say, no, it's not your business to look into her past and this and that, but I do believe that it is, especially for looking into a woman. When choosing a woman, it is very important, because it's going to come and hunt you and really hurt you. So it is possible. Check out my masterclass. It's very important. Intrusive thoughts, I heard, also overlaps with anxiety, could be genetic. Well, anxiety is an outcome of OCD, of overthinking. Anxiety is just a byproduct of OCD. Yeah, you can have anxiety, but there's usually a reason why you have anxiety. There's a reason why I have anxiety. Brother Farid, Barakallah Feek. May Allah bless you, Akhi. Allah barik you. For those who know, Farid responds. May Allah bless it. MashaAllah. Allah barik Feek from Canada. MashaAllah. طيب, again, guys and girls, if you want to, please do consider supporting the dawa. Hit that chat, button there to appreciate our work. Barakallahu feekum. It's a super chat. I'll see your questions faster, as well as, you're helping the dawah. Do help us to get out of the shadow ban, because alhamdulillah, we talk about so many important things that helping so many people. I don't want to disclose the message, but one sister messaged us today saying that they're Palestinian and that they really appreciate the videos that we're doing, alhamdulillah, and how much helped her family and herself, and that she wishes more people would understand what we're talking about. Jazakallah khair for that sister. We're not going to disclose her identity, but may Allah bless her. Alhamdulillah. It is very, very important. For with your support, we can do a lot more. We can get out of the shadow ban, plus we can do more dawah. It's not a lot of money. Everyone can put a little effort in, and we can do more, inshallah. So hit that like, share button, and hit that super chat. All right, people say women are influenced by the aqidah and attitude of their men and more moldable, but others advise not to marry her, thinking you can change her. What's the right way to understand this? It depends. I would say women are easier to influence. It's easier to influence a woman, okay, if you know how to deal with it. But if you're just like up in the wind and just doing nothing, and you're a weak man, then she will destroy you. She can influence you. All right, depends on each personality. But by nature, women are more moldable and more influenced. By nature, default. Now, the question is, what kind of conditioning has she gone through, and what kind of corruption? Right, that's the default. So if she's been corrupted and really changed, it'll be hard for you to undo that, because you're not just influencing her, you're trying to undo something that's already there. By fitra, by nature, yes, women are more easily to change and corrupt and influence. This is true. We find the evidence in the Hadith of the fitna of the Dajjal, that women will go to the point that you have to like lock them in the houses, chain them by chains. Will men follow the Dajjal? Of course, men as well. But we find that women are just more susceptible. There's certain fitnas and certain things that are built into a female's nature where she has more susceptibility to it, almost like a gene, like they were talking about genetics. It's like a susceptibility gene that is there in women and maybe not in men. And then, as I said, in men, other stuff like violence. That gene is in men. Okay, they're just more susceptible. It's not so much women. Can women be violent? Man, there's some women, some really weird, aggressive women these days out there, right? But it's more an issue of nurture, like the environment has made them like that. They're just not susceptible by default, by their fitrah, to that corruption that much, right? But it happens as well. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the way I would say. So, yes, indeed, a man can influence a woman, but it depends on how much damage has been done already and if she can change or not. No. Okay. A bit off topic, hopefully you don't mind. Is ADHD real or an excuse? I do believe it's real. Okay. Attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And there's also ADD, attention deficit disorder. I think it is real because you find that people are not focused. They're not attentive. They can't retain information. And I believe now there's some research that I read where it's even now induced in late adulthood. Usually when you talk about ADHD and ADD, it's linked to younger children. But now we find adult-induced ADHD and it's linked to mobile usage, phones, screens. Our attention spans are weaker and weaker. Remember when YouTube came out? They would have time limit. All right. Now, it was, if you look at it, went from YouTube, long lessons, long lectures, people would listen to them. I remember I used to put like 18, 19 years ago, I used to put videos like 20, 30 minutes. People watch them. Now, literally, I have to put a 20 or 30 second video, a reel, a short, a snap. Then people watch. If not, you will not reach them. People are not going to watch they're not going to watch a 30-minute video these days. Very, very hard. Now, all right. Again, brothers and sisters, hit that like button, share. We are talking about OCD and female psychology. Two different things, yet there are two classes that are coming up, inshallah, in not this weekend. So this weekend, today is Sunday. Next weekend, no, so 2 weeks from now. 2 weekends from now, inshallah, we have two amazing classes, and those are the Female Psychology 101. It's for men only. Only men are allowed to come on this. And the OCD Masterclass. Everyone can join in that, inshallah. Hit that super chat button, brothers and sisters. Support the dawa for as little as whatever it is. You can help us, inshallah. Some women say that she specifically cannot handle polygyny. They'll always be insecure, worried, and hurt. Do you think this is more how Allah created her or more OCD society? I do believe that women were created, they're predisposed. They have a predisposition to tolerate polygyny. And there's clear indications on that in science as well as in their behavior and in history. Women, by default, the world interact with polygyny very different than today. No matter what people try to say. Okay, so I think women are wired to be able to accept polygyny. And I'll tell you why. Very quick. Even their sexuality is kind of like that. Like they, in a way, yes, they can be jealous. Yes, I think that jealousy is also part of their fitrah, right? So there's a dissonance there, but I think they can tolerate it, right? So when it comes to a female, when a man cheats, for example, of course it's haram for both men and women. But when a man cheats, it seems like a woman can tolerate it more. A woman can forgive more. Now, women would say that's because we're more forgiving. No, it's because you're more tolerant of the idea itself. cheat on a man, that's it, it's over, game over. A real man anyway. There's now cuckolds, which is more of an environmental weakness of a man. It's not in a man's nature to tolerate that a woman would go with more men. It doesn't work. Our values are different. You walk into a place, you see a man surrounded by some women. As a woman, you'd probably walk up and check out what's going on. Why are all these girls there? What's so interesting about this guy? You walk into a place and you see a woman surrounded by 5 men or 10 men, you're most likely going to walk the other way because you know she's a bad woman. It's don't get me wrong, it's just the way we value things and the way we see things. Okay? Just the way it is, the way we're created. So to answer the question, I think Allah created them to be able to tolerate polygyny. I think they've been drilled so much and conditioned so much that it's just you and him, you and him, you and him, and that you're getting a bad deal and this and that women are, yes, indeed hating now. Plus, their predisposition to jealousy, that's inflated, plus the environment and everyone, even the weak imams who are calling against polygyny, and even though that was the sunnah of the Prophet and the Sahaba after him, so many. But bottom line, with different explanations, they will try to basically sneak out of it and make it as something really bad. So yes, indeed, women cannot really handle it today, but I do believe that deep in their fitrah, they are wired to be able to handle it. All right, they're wired to be able to handle the fact that her man can be with another woman. All right, and there's other stuff too that I could be talking about it, but it's gonna stay in the female psychology class. So if you really want to know about, there's a element there in female sexuality as well that tolerates the presence of another woman, while in a man's sexuality it just wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen. All right. Let us look at, okay, more questions. Bismillah. Is it okay to destroy women's ego now and not feed her ego by being dismissive and not talk to her? I don't understand the question. Destroying it depends. Ego in general, it's not good. If a woman's ego is met or conditioned by a specific environmental factor, such as feminism and so on, I mean, destroying it isn't how. You're going to fight her, it's tough, right? Be careful with women. You know, they're more dangerous than you think they are. So indeed, a man has to maintain his lines and he cannot just dismiss things. He needs to address things. He needs to have certain boundaries, certain standards, and he needs to make sure that the woman falls within those standards. If she doesn't, then he's got a problem, right? But indeed, if a man is just dismissive, just lets it go and just whatever, something bigger is going to come bite him in the back later on. Yeah, indeed, Dr. Amin, the clinics of Amin clinics are really important. SPEC technology and braining, scanning brains is really important. Alhamdulillah, I think it's been happening since the 80s and 90s, but it's not been popular, looking inside the brain. But now I think it's becoming more and more, Sean. That's very important. Very, very important. Ustaz Staying Humble, Hafidullah, said the OCD is mainly wudu. I love Ustaz Staying Humble, but I don't know if he's dealing with so many cases. It's in a lot of other things, not only wudu. In a lot, iman, so many things that there's OCD and subhanallah. No. Labib says, one day a fasting made my mood so much better. I felt so light, confident, and full of vigor. And mashallah, like, as fasting does, our diet also addresses and helps. Nam. Sometimes men feel disrespected, tend to emotionally pull away, be distant. But modern psychology calls this avoidant behavior, and has told women it's bad, and they get even more upset at him. Well, yeah, this is why modern psychology is not the deen, and people need to skim through that and understand modern psychology. That it's what's the basis of modern psychology is kufr. So people need to really understand. Okay, so yes, a man he will emotionally pull away when he feels disrespected. A man who has standards will have to just let it be and let it go. And he's going to pull away and he's going to pull the plug because he respects himself. He has certain standards. She's going to call it as avoidant. We're going to call him as insecure, evasive, all these labels that have been coined by modern day narratives. And yeah, she's gonna, as opposed to appreciating that he has limits and boundaries, she's going to disrespect him even more. The Gaza situation isn't good. I know, may Allah subhanahu to help us. I keep saying, it's because we as the Ummah are weak. We keep thinking it's just a war. It's due to our weakness. A lot of the problems are due to our weakness. Due to our minds, we're thinking. Imagine if you're always in waswasa, OCDing, thinking about the dumbest things, thinking about did I wash my hands properly, as opposed to the status of the Ummah. Now, it is important to live your life and forget about it, and women focus on work and enjoy life. No doubt, you have to focus. You can't just start, just your mind always be around something. It is the way it is. I know. I wish things would be different. I really wish in many cases things would be very different. But they're not. I wish many things I would have done differently. I wish many things would have been different in this life. But they're not, sadly. And if you get stuck in something, your mind is going to go baloney. Barakallah feek, Sister Miriam, for the super chat. May Allah bless you. For those who also want to support us, please hit that super chat like Sister Miriam did. It helps a lot, wallahi, for us to continue making these lectures, these live broadcasts, and so on. You just hit that button there. I'll see your questions. Alhamdulillah, jazakumullah khair. Hitting the like button helps too, for sure. May Allah reward all of you. Now, do you believe that narcissism actually exists, or would you say it's just a trait of Iblis that people have kicked into? Yeah, it could be. I mean, look, labels are labels. Narcissism is just a label. People who think they're better than others. But the narcissist is not just an overly confident person. Actually, there's deep-rooted insecurities in narcissism. It's more like a cover. Again, the title narcissist. I could remove the title narcissism and describe a person who is very obsessed with themselves, who is very self-centered, who doesn't care about people's emotions, will do anything, kind of Machiavellian, the ends justify the means, yet very insecure and very weak. So I don't need to use the label, but definitely it's something linked to shaitan, 100%. 100%. Yeah. Abdullah Usman said, you can undo if she already gave her heart to somebody else. You marry her, she won't love you. Could be. Some women will marry just for stability. I know some women say, I can't do it. But some women will marry. Women and men, they can marry for different reasons. Indeed, some women can marry just to have stability, to be taken care of. They might not love the man, but they can like him. Maybe they'll fall in love with him after, maybe not. They can marry. And many men can marry also for not love. They'll marry in general for sex. Okay, because they need to fulfill their desires. Both sides can marry for other than love. This whole lovey-dovey thing is a new trend pushed by society. Now, I have an issue with remembering names of people, street names. How can I solve this? Yeah, you should probably, it's an issue of memory. Could be that there's something with the brain, maybe a trauma. or so on. It could be, maybe you get checked and scanned, or you can do different brain stimulation tactics, such as memorizing. Try to memorize the Quran. It's one of the greatest ways to push your brain. Ibrahim, barakallah fiq. Brother Ibrahim, hit us with a super sticker, and Ibrahim is supporting our dawah, mashallah. I'm really happy for that. Naam, mashallah. It's a super sticker, mashallah. So, brothers and sisters, again, hit that super sticker or super chat, and alhamdulillah, it supports our dawah. Sister Miriam says, if the non-Muslim father is not accepting being a revert and will not accept the marriage, we made him unhappy. No. Do we disobey Allah? No, because he's not Muslim. You don't have to give this kind of consideration to him, even though you should respect him. You should take care of him. Okay, but no, because he's not Muslim, right? So he's your father, he's inshallah a good man, but no, once Islam comes in, then you have to marry a Muslim man, and even if your father's not happy and whatnot, still you have to do what you have to do within Islam. He can be involved in the process, he can be give his opinion, right? But because he doesn't accept you being a revert, then this is a problem. Okay, but you're not disobeying Allah, no. Okay. Now, Arsalan says, I'm married to a Syrian woman. I'm intending to marry a widow sister with 2 kids. I'm really afraid of her. Okay, who are you afraid of? Are you afraid of your Syrian woman or of the widow sister with 2 kids? A lot of people say, why are you afraid of women? You shouldn't be afraid of women. Okay, can you be afraid of women, and why? So in the Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, it's interesting because the Prophet ﷺ says, وَاتَّقُوا الدُّنْيَا, and fear this dunya. Okay, فَاتَّقُوا الدُّنْيَا وَاتَّقُوا النِّسَاء. Fear this dunya and fear women. Okay, the first fitna of Ben Israel, what made him go astray, was women. Now please don't overthink it. But the Prophet ﷺ, he did say, وَاتَّقُوا النِّسَاء, and fear women. Okay, be careful of women. They are quite interesting, and they can, yes, there's a reason sometimes to be afraid. Now, it's not like, oh my God, I'm afraid she's going to beat me up. No, but a woman can really, really pull a man down. A man can also pull a woman down. I'm not saying that, but it's different. How? It's hard to explain. It's just different. A lot of things are hard to explain when it comes to the difference between men and women. And it goes back to just the simplest explanation. وَلَيْسَ ذَكَرُ كَالْأُنْثَى. Men and women are very different. Extremely, extremely different. So yeah, I would probably be afraid too, man. Yeah, I think there's definitely, people will say, like, fear Allah, bro. You should only fear Allah. The Prophet said, فَاتَّقُوا الدُّنْيَا, fear this dunya, the fitna of this dunya, وَاتَّقُوا النِّسَاء, and be careful, fear women. And it is a fitna. Okay? Yeah, the first woman's jealousy, 100%, man. 100%. It is a very difficult thing. 100%. She's not going to be happy. Trust me, she's not going to be dancing at your wedding and jumping up and down of happiness because you're married. So, yeah, it's huge. I think I've already explained this, Sister Maryam. No, you're not disobeying Allah. You do not disobey Allah. All right, Jazakallah khair for the super chats. Please hit, again, anyone who's there who likes, or if you like this video, by the way, send it to someone, share it with someone that might benefit from it. And this helps us. This helps us a lot, alhamdulillah. All right. Would you say that there's a movement that is molding men into wrong direction, which results in women taking up stances that, were it for different treatment, they wouldn't take up? It's a tough, I do believe that, yes. I do believe that there's a movement that making men weak, making men have uncontrolled emotions, which hurts them, and in turn, it also affects women. When a man is weak and is not in his strong behavior, and here it doesn't mean just being like mean and evil and harsh all the time. but knowing how to deal with the woman as well, and how to be soft with her and all that, there's a good balance there that a man needs to understand. I think because men are not strong and not masculine anymore, I think women are now taking up certain stances. And also that men are allowing that to happen. Right? If you're the CEO and you claim that you're the leader of a company or whatever, you're pretty much first and foremost responsible for the messes that are taking place in your company. So think about that. Okay. Can I ask a question? Because I'm married twice and seriously considering to move on. Okay, go ahead. I think I need to condense my question so there's enough space. Okay. I tried to type it. Okay. He says, I remarried and now I'm considering to divorce this one because I'm sick of problems. I can understand. I cannot bear to live with a narcissist. Again, the term narcissist comes up. Again, I always caution people to be careful. It happened to me once before, and now I'm supposed to live the rest of my life with another one. I'm only 39. Yes, indeed, guys get burned more than once. Guys get burned more than once. Women also, like you find that women will pick a certain man sometimes when they're really into a certain type of man, that they'll bounce into the same type of bad man. But with guys also, some guys will marry, they'll idealize the woman, they'll think that she's really, really amazing, and then they'll marry, and they'll find out that she's not, and then they suffer, and then they remarry again, and it seems like it's the same thing again. So yeah, this is the problem, and this is where you see that the society has conditioned people in such a bad way that it's almost hard to find a good person. You get married for a second time, you think, this is gonna be it, I'm gonna be happy. Boom, lo and behold, same issue that you've had before. So again, I think going back to the Hadith of Prophet ﷺ, that you gotta kind of deal with what you have, right? He ﷺ said the woman is created from the bent rib of Adam. If you try to straighten it, it's gonna break. If you leave it the way it is, it's crooked. And this hadith is very important because a lot of people think it's just about be nisai khayra, just take care of women, be kind to women. That's the only thing we take from this hadith. No, the crookedness is very important to understand as well. And in many, there's a few other hadith that complete this hadith that basically says, look, you just have to kind of try to enjoy whatever you can from her with the way she is. However, and this is a big however, that many people do not understand. You need to know yourself, because some of her behavior is just not tolerable. You can't just go and be like, well, Allah created you from the bent rib of Adam, therefore you just have to tolerate and you just have to deal with everything. So if I cheat on you, no problem. If I emotionally blackmail you and break your peace and your mind and your head, no problem. That's how you are. This is the fitrah of woman. We just have to, the imams and the muftis and everyone says, just be nice to women. No. Being nice to women, yes, you be nice to women. You put up with certain mistakes that are built in them. Certain things like nagging and this and that and being, moody and yeah. But when they start disturbing your peace and start messing with you and start disobeying Allah, then no, then you don't. Okay, then no. Then, you do have to put some pressure to straighten that rib, but not to the point that it breaks. You don't just leave it the way it is in anything that she does. It's like saying Allah created shaitan. Well, of course Allah created shaitan. You think Allah didn't know what shaitan would be? Well, we can't, leave shaitan alone. We don't find, because Allah created him. Like, this is the way he is, Allah created him. There was a group of people like that who deviated from Islam, who used to say, well, you can't blame me for my sins because Allah created him like this. This is how Allah created me, right? So when you look at the Hadith of the bent rib, a lot of women, they use that to justify their misbehavior and to try to justify that their husbands should treat them kindly no matter what kind of behavior they have. Totally off. 100% off. So for the brothers, I don't know, man. Depends on what she does. I can't tell you. Depends on what she does and what she is hurting you with. If it's nushuz and proper disobedience and really, like, let's say, misbehavior in terms of her haya, her hijab, her sexual behavior, then yeah, you might need to let her go. If it is just her being annoying and emotional or just nagging or this or that, It depends to what extent what she does and how it affects your peace. Do you think the reason why women are acting, behaving in a certain way is mainly because men are becoming weaker mentally, emotionally? I do believe that has to do with it. Yes, big part, huge part of it. Also, they're encouraged to behave stronger and more tougher in a coup attempt to take over the world and to basically lead the world. I do believe that's something that's being pushed. Now, how to deal with a woman in marriage settings who has become the man she always wanted to marry because she's so far in her career and feels self-sufficient? Most likely woman at marriage meetings. Well, you don't. That's going to be a disastrous marriage. If she's become the man she wanted to marry, then you're going to be marrying another man, basically. And that's like two, as Ibn Qayyim says, two rams butting heads. Okay? Now, alright, barakallahu feekum, my dear brothers and sisters. We are coming to an end. Usually try to keep it to 1 hour, but about 4 minutes or so. Does anyone have any last few questions? Please do consider right now, mashallah, we got 40 something people. Hit that super chat, that super sticker, and support the dawa. Sister Maryam and another brother, mashallah, Ibrahim, they did that. May Allah bless you. And it is a huge support. Alhamdulillah. Last question here. What to do if I'm a male and I'm always overthinking, have anxiety? You need to relax. You need to focus. You need to do something. Look for a purpose in your life. Something to keep you focused. Something that's more important than what you're overthinking and have anxiety about. Maybe book a counseling session with us, inshallah. We can help you, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And which course do you suggest from your site I buy before the marriage meeting? I'll say the marriage vetting masterclass. And definitely sign up for the female psychology class. That's happening 2 weekends from now. Not next weekend, the weekend after is going to be something different, man. Alhamdulillah. Alright, barakallahu feekum. May Allah bless all of you. Jazakum khair. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Guys, again, share this video with someone who might benefit. And don't forget the OCD masterclass 2 weeks from now, as well as the female psychology masterclass, also 2 weeks from now. So it will happen on the weekend of the that weekend will be, inshallah, the 30th and the 31st. The 30th and the 31st, inshallah. So we'll end the year strongly. And again, please do consider becoming a patron, supporting the dawah long term. $3 a month, $5 a month can help us. Huge, huge help in the dawah. Check out the links in all my videos. You'll find the link there. Alhamdulillah, a lot of this work cannot be done without your support. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.